The first thing I heard that morning wasn't the birds or the pool filter humming. Nope. It was the sharp, steady click of Karen's heels on my driveway like a countdown to disaster. You know what I mean? She marched across my yard, clipboard in hand, acting like my private property was just another playground for her little HOA power games. Your pool's now a VIP venue, she announced as if this was some honor she was bestowing. My coffee nearly slipped out of my hand. What she didn't know, I wasn't about to just roll over and play nice. This was my turf. And Karen, well, she was about to find out what happens when you mess with the wrong homeowner. And hey, before I go any further, I gotta ask, where are you watching from? Drop your location below. Let's see just how big this community of folks fed up with HOA nonsense really is. I want to know if you're fighting your own HOA battles in Boston, Boise, or somewhere out in the sticks. Let's unite. Anyway, back to my Saturday, which was supposed to be peaceful, the kind where you sit by the pool with a book or just soak in the quiet. Instead, Karen comes stomping in clipboard like a weapon smile, way too smug for someone trespassing. "Good morning, Tom," she chirped, like she was just stopping by for a friendly chat. "Your pool is now officially the HOA's VIP venue for our big community event." She said it twice, like repetition would make me excited about my own pool being hijacked. "We'll need the space. Very important people will be here. Influencers, even." She beamed as if she expected me to roll out a red carpet. I glanced at my brother Sam, who was sitting nearby, sketchbook in hand. He's not a fan of conflict. Me, I was struggling not to laugh in her face. Karen always acted like she held the keys to every inch of the neighborhood, but today I'd had enough. "Karen, this is private property, not a community space," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I'm not hosting your party." She just waved that hand at me, the same hand she'd used to point at my no trespassing sign on the gate. "Oh, that's cute, Tom. But per the new HOA mandate, prime community areas like your pool are subject to use for HOA events. I've designated it for the good of the community." At that point, my patience snapped. "Karen, this is my pool. I've worked hard to make it a peaceful space for me and my brother. You're not using it for your event." She smiled a smile that said I was about to have a very bad week. "Well, Tom, I guess we'll have to see about that. You wouldn't want to cause trouble, would you? There are fines after all." Her smile was the last straw. "Goodbye, Karen. You need to leave." She didn't take kindly to being dismissed, and as she stormed off, I knew this was only the beginning. Sure enough, next morning there she was again. Same click of high heels, same clipboard of doom. Sam looked at me, already dreading it. I opened the door before she could knock. "What brings you by this time?" I asked, pretty sure I didn't want to know. "I'm here for a quick check-in," she said, oozing fake sweetness. "Your pool is simply perfect for the VIP event. We've decided it'll be the center of attention." That smile never reached her eyes. She was used to getting her way. I told her again no, but she just waved her clipboard. "Let's not be difficult, Tom. Under the new event priority section, we can designate prime spaces for community use. I've designated your pool. It's perfect." She looked around like she was already measuring for a photo booth. I could feel my jaw clenching. "Sorry, Karen, but no. This is my home, my pool." She didn't even flinch. "It's already decided. I've sent out invites to the influencers and big players. You wouldn't want to ruin that for everyone, would you?" She was threatening me with popularity. I dug in. "Karen, you don't have the authority. This is my property." She narrowed her eyes but didn't back down. "You don't have a choice, Tom. The HOA's decisions are final, and if you don't comply, there are consequences." She handed me a notice official looking full of legalese. "You need to sign this confirming the event. The fines won't be the issue, but your reputation." She let that hang. "My reputation," I almost laughed. "You're threatening my reputation over a pool party you're throwing on my property." She just smiled that arrogant smile. The HOA always gets what it wants. I took a breath, trying to keep cool. "Karen, if you try to host this event without my permission, I'll see you in court." She stiffened but recovered quickly. "Good luck with that, Tom. We've got the board on our side." "Karen, you can't fine me for refusing you entry to my own property. You don't get to dictate what happens here." She glared at me, then turned on her heel. Fine, we'll see how this plays out. She thought she could wear me down with bureaucracy. And sure enough, I started getting letters on the door, thick envelopes stamped with the HOA logo, each more official than the last. The first letter was classic Karen formalized the community's request and confirm your consent. Like my refusal was just a little misunderstanding. Next day, another letter. This time from the legal department. Now I was in violation of HOA bylaws for refusing access. They even tried to say they could terminate my right to enjoy my own property if I kept it up. I almost laughed. But this wasn't just annoying anymore. She was going after the very foundation of my home, my right to peace. The notices kept coming. Every day some new threat. Every day another piece of paper taped to my door or stuck under my windshield wiper. Karen wanted my pool, and she wasn't giving up. One morning there she was again standing at the end of my driveway. "Good morning, Tom," she called, voice saccharine, eyes cold. "I trust you received the latest notice." I just nodded. "And I'm not changing my mind." She laid it on thick. "This event is too important for you to stand in the way. Influencers. Tom, publicity property values." I shot back, "I don't care about your influencers. This is my home, and no amount of social media clout is going to make me hand it over." Her smile disappeared. "You're making this harder than it needs to be. We're talking about the betterment of Willow Creek. The only thing you care about, Karen, is how this makes you look." I said it and I meant it. I repeated my refusal. She got cold. "If you're going to be difficult, we'll move forward with other actions. Don't say I didn't warn you." She stomped off and I felt the pressure ratcheting up, but I wasn't alone. I called my lawyer. "Tom, you've got a solid case," he said. "The HOA can't just commandeer private property. That was all I needed. I gathered my deed, printed out HOA rules, highlighted every line about private property. I even looped in Hank, my neighbor, who's seen it all. I'm on it, Tom. Just say the word." But then the twist. Hank called with news that made my blood run cold. "Karen's selling tickets, Tom. Non-refundable. $100 a pop. She's telling people they can't get in without buying a ticket." My jaw dropped. "She's selling tickets to an event at my pool without my permission." "Yup. And she's calling it a fundraiser, but the money's going right to her. Fraud." That's what this was. Not just overreach, outright fraud. Hank was right. I had to act. I contacted my neighbors. Turns out she'd told plenty of folks that I'd agreed to all of it. Some had already paid, thinking they were helping the community. I called my lawyer again. "We need a cease and desist. She's selling tickets to an event at my pool. This is fraud." That night I couldn't sleep. So I did what any stubborn, law-abiding homeowner would do. I went to the hardware store, bought a heavy-duty submersible pump, and got to work. I took photos, checked all the water discharge rules. No way Karen was spinning this into an environmental violation on me. By sunrise, the pool was half empty. Each gallon that left the pool was a small act of rebellion, a way of saying, "Not today, Karen." Sam watched me, nervous but trusting. "Is it going to be okay?" he asked. "Yeah, Sam. Sometimes you've got to fight for what's right." Then came the moment, Karen screeching into the driveway, heels hitting pavement like war drums. She stormed up, saw the closed for maintenance sign Sam had drawn with a sad face. She nearly exploded. "You've ruined everything. People are coming. They paid for this." I stood my ground. "You didn't have permission. You've been selling tickets to my property." "That's fraud, Karen." For once she was speechless, then furious. "I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," I said. "Let's see how that works out." And so the police came. Karen did her best to play the victim, ranting about vandalism and HOA property. The officers listened, then turned to me. "Sir, can you explain?" I laid out the deed, showed them the documents. They turned back to Karen. "Ma'am, this is private property. Without written consent, you have no claim." Her face went from red to white. "But the mandate, it's for the community." "Not without the owner's approval," the officer said. One of the officers glanced at the drained pool, then at Karen. "Also, ma'am, selling tickets to an event on someone else's property is illegal." The VIPs she'd invited stood off to the side looking awkward. Some were filming it all. Karen stammered, then finally sputtered, "This isn't over, Tom. You'll regret this." She stormed off, humiliated, while the neighbors whispered and the officers nodded to me. "You're free to go, Mr. Henderson. You've done everything by the book." The aftermath was almost as satisfying as the showdown. Hank called me that night. "Tom, people are talking Karen's a laughingstock. Her supporters are bailing. Some are talking about calling for her resignation." At the next HOA meeting, the board held a vote of no confidence. Karen was done. Her grip on the neighborhood finally snapped. For the first time in months, Sam and I could just sit by the pool. No anxiety, no tension, just peace. The neighbors came by to thank me. Even the board sent out a formal apology for Karen's abuse of power. The pool became what it was meant to be again, a sanctuary, not a battlefield. Looking back, the fight wasn't just about a pool. It was about dignity, about standing up to a bully who thought her title made her untouchable. It was about showing everyone in Willow Creek that you can push back, that you don't have to accept injustice quietly. Sometimes you have to fight for your peace. So let me ask you, if you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Where do you draw the line between standing up for yourself and just letting it go? Drop your thoughts, your stories, your battles below. I want to hear from folks who've dealt with the Karens of the world. Because if there's one thing I learned, it's that community doesn't come from rules or mandates. It comes from standing up together for what's right. And sometimes the best way to reclaim your peace is to drain the pool and start fresh. If you believe in fighting for what's right, or if you've got your own story to tell, share it below. Let's remind each other we're not alone.